us for an hour on game day or the Friday leading up to a game, like he will this Friday leading up to the Eagles-Saints. And then he joins us the day after a game. And man, was it a game. From inside the Birds at 97.5, the Fanatic, Andrew Nwachukwu joins us. Andrew, good morning. How are you?
Hey, good morning, fellas. How are you?
I'm glad you sound rested. You sound fired up. You sound ready to go because you are a football guy and because you are a journalist and not an Eagles fan. You're ready to go. Would love to just start off by opening the floor to you. Give us some of your overall reaction to last night's loss for the Eagles.
Well, first and foremost, guys, I like that play call on 3rd and 3 to throw the ball to Saquon Barkley. It's a high percentage play. Catch the ball and make the play. And we're not even having this conversation. The pass was where it needed to be. Saquon needed to be able to kind of seal the deal there. I did not like the field goal, however,
right
on that 4th and 3 that ended up being the 28-yard field goal. I think if you're going to be as aggressive as you were in that first half, and this kind of ties into my big picture takeaways, guys, you have to sort of find your identity if you're Nick Sirianni, because you saw a more cautious approach there, and then early on that 4th and 4 from the Atlanta 9, that incompletion of Dallas Goedert in the first quarter, you kick you're aggressive in that situation. So to me, I think that you see the Jekyll and Hyde from Sirianni in that game there. But overall, I thought Jalen Hurts played a solid game. He got out of the pocket a little bit more than you probably would like for him to see, but I thought he made the necessary plays to put the offense in position. 85 yards on 13 carries and that touchdown. I thought he was good enough. Did not like what I saw from the defense in terms of run defense. A lot of four-man fronts. I have to go back and watch the game again. I always watch it at least a couple times. But I wasn't overly enthused with the Eagles' run fits in this one.
Andrew, I got to tell you that I've had football coaches tell me before that when a quarterback, we'll say, Jalen Hurts was holding on to the ball too long. And I've had football coaches say to me, John, usually that's because of the fact that the defensive coordinator is winning the battle versus the offensive coordinator. Mm-hmm. Do you believe in that philosophy? That's usually the case?
Well, it isn't not always, John, but last night it was. He was patting the football, holding on to it, waiting for guys to uncover. You didn't see that from Dallas Goedert. You did not see that from Jahan Dotson. It was mostly Devontae Smith winning his matchups, and they were peppering Britton Covey with targets. But I think a lot of the byproduct this time for Jalen holding on to the ball as much as he was is simply because a lot of his playmakers weren't uncovering.
Andrew, so you said you liked the 3rd and 3 play call. Look, it's been a fascinating conversation all day long because it ended up looking like it would have worked. But what John and I have talked about a lot today is the risk reward, and is that risk too high that if it's intercepted or if it's incomplete and the clock stops and now Atlanta has an extra timeout, should that go into the thought process for a Nick Sirianni or for anybody that's agreeing with the play call overall?
Yeah, it should, and you could also hand the ball off to Saquon. I think you want to put the ball in the hands of your best playmaker, but I would also say that he was wide open. These are moments why he's here. You pay him for these moments, and the ball hit your hands, catch the football.
Right, no, I'm not disagreeing. Like, look, the play call was, John and I have talked about, the play call was drawn up to perfection, but there's the risk of the incomplete pass, which changes basically everything.
And the NFL's own statistical numbers, which they used on ESPN or otherwise, it's at 97.3% probability win of that game if they run the ball on that 3rd down play.
Yeah, no, it's a fair conversation to have, but like I said, I was not for that 4th and 3,
right.
that 28-yard Elliott field goal. I thought that kind of went against everything that we've seen previously in that game leading up to that moment. I thought that was the time to be aggressive, run the football, probably with Jalen Hurts. But that play call there, I thought it was schemed up well. You have
it looked beautiful
and put that game away, and the Eagles did not do that. The play call was good. The player failed. I'm
a little disgusted this morning with the play of the Georgia Bulldog players. Is that would you consider that a little too feisty, or do you think it's pretty justified?
No, I'm with you, John. And to kind of put it into perspective, there was one play off the top of my head. It was the Milton Williams sack. I didn't even see the sack because I watched Bijan Robinson chip Nolan Smith to the point where Nolan fell on his back.
I saw that, dude. He flew.
Yeah. And
it was like a cartoon.
you just don't. You heard the crowd make a noise on that play because they saw that. You don't necessarily usually see a running back put an edge rusher on their backside, but nevertheless, that's what we have here, guys. I didn't see a lot of push from Nolan and really Jalen Carter, who had been so dominant this summer, guys, being able to win all of his matchups, be disruptive, get in the backfield, even if he wasn't making the play and stopping the running back, he was affecting quarterbacks and moving them off their spot. You're not seeing that very early, but I thought Nakobe Dean did okay. Obviously, teams are always going to look to isolate him in coverage each week, but I thought he was where he needed to be more often than not. You like the attitude. I think he's trying to bring a tenacious attitude to the defense, and he's somebody that I think is going to have to take on more of a leadership role to make sure that things don't come unraveled here.
Curious to get your reaction to this. I said this to John, and it's a fear of mine through 2 weeks. It's not my belief, and I did not know enough of him to have this answer when the Eagles first signed him. But I had a fear about Bryce Huff last night, Andrew. Byron Maxwell. Good player on a great defense. Benefited for playing from a great defense. Got paid for playing on a great defense. And to his credit, playing well on that defense. Then comes here, supposed to be a big part of the defense, and clearly we saw that he was better with Seattle than with Philadelphia. It's just a fear of mine. I'm not saying that's the case, but what's your reaction to that?
Well, if you can recall to some of the conversations you, John, and I have had going into the season, it was like I was like, guys, I wouldn't be as concerned with the linebackers. It's the pass rush that really should be at the front of mind here.
Oh, yeah.
And we all outlined the reasons why. And solely at the forefront of it all was Bryce Huff. I think, to me, you see the 3 years of production that he had. It was 7.5 sacks combined. Then you see the breakout season last year. I think his ability is somewhere in the middle, but I don't think he's a $51 million player. The Eagles are swinging the bat in the belief that they have an ascending player. Two weeks in, not promising. The returns aren't great. He's not getting off blocks. He's not making plays. He doesn't have any tackles through 2 games. But it is a legitimate concern when you're signing a player, guys, who hasn't filled in a full-time capacity, and you're asking him to be the headliner for your pass rush, which, by the way, lost to Son Reddick, who was remarkably productive for 2 seasons. Right now, you have every reason to be concerned. Going into you and I, when we spoke yesterday, we said, if you don't get any pass rush on Monday night, we're having a totally different conversation on Tuesday, and here we are.
Mm-hmm.
Andrew, you don't do gambling as far as discussions on the show many times, but I have to ask you something. Right. The Eagles are a pick'em at New Orleans this weekend, as we wake up this morning. Right after that effort last night, and after what we've seen in New Orleans for 2 weeks, what does that say to you? Does it say that Vegas knows something we don't know? Maybe the league looks at the Eagles and says they're much better than we saw last night?
That's interesting to me because, and yesterday I believe I mentioned that I don't think the Saints are as good as they showed,
right?
And I also don't think the Eagles are that their forecast is as bleak as what it looked like last night. I think, and you could see the somberness you could hear the somberness in the locker room. This isn't lost on anyone there. I believe it. Yes, it's early in the season, but sometimes a loss like this puts things into perspective. It allows you to hit that reset button and figure out what you guys need to, what they need to do to get things headed in the right direction. They're well aware of what the Saints just did to their division rival, the Dallas Cowboys. I don't think they're going to go into this game taking them lightly, and I feel like it's going to be a statement game for them. They have something to prove.
Hopefully it is, Andrew. We appreciate it, man. It's been a fun week already. We talked to you for an hour yesterday. I talked to you for more because I had you on the pregame show. We talked to you now, and then we'll talk to you